It is no surprise when Nintendo takes a different art direction with the Zelda title. This is something they have done throughout the series again and again. If the title isn't a direct sequel, they usually give it a fresh coat of paint. And this always stirred up controversy with fans, like how when The Wind Waker first came out and was received negatively due to its cartoonish art style, causing them to take a huge step away from that and go for a much more realistic Zelda title with Twilight Princess. But for the Link's Awakening remake, this has taken things to a whole new level, as Nintendo went for a similar route to Yoshi's Woolly World and made the game look like real-world items. This being the diorama style they went for, and man did they nail the look, as they showed off their own recreations of scenes from the game during E3 in dioramas. And luckily I was fortunate enough to witness them in person, and with how the game shows a top-down perspective, it really looks like you're looking at a diorama when playing the game. But why a style like this? This is something Nintendo has never went for in the series, especially when they went through the length to make an intro for the game in an anime art style that looked so amazing. So how does this all of a sudden turn into this? Well, the short answer, it doesn't. The game during its gameplay isn't the same world as the game during the intro and ending scenes. And what do I mean by that? Well, here's the long answer, but spoiler warning, as this will spoil the entire game's story, so watch at your own risk. Link's Awakening is nothing but a dream. After Link's ship is struck by lightning in the game's intro, he wakes up on a mysterious island that he cannot leave until waking up the Windfish. But is it the Windfish he is truly waking up, or himself? As when Link wakes up during the ending scene, the game goes back to the anime style and Koholint Island is no longer there. All what happened on Koholint Island was in Link's head during the time he was unconscious after the shipwreck. So that toy-like diorama style was all in Link's head, as in the real world Link looks more like an anime character. And this isn't exclusive to the remake, as in the original games, Link during the same two cutscenes is more human-like and in a different art style from what we see him during the gameplay and scenes in Koholint Island. And you may assume that this was more of a limited design choice during its time, as it was for the Game Boy and Nintendo couldn't really add much detail in the gameplay. Similar to how old Pokemon games you'd turn into a marshmallow as you'd enter the game, but in battles you would look much more detailed. But that wasn't the reason even for the Game Boy titles, as when the game would show more detailed scenes of Link on Koholint Island, such as the pictures that were exclusive to the DX version, you can see that Link looked like a toy similar to how he looks in the new Link's Awakening remake. So if Nintendo had the choice to make Link more detailed outside of the intro, they could have, but they chose not to, as when Link's on the island, he's meant to look much less detailed. So Nintendo wasn't really limited when it came to the design. They chose for it to be like that for a reason. And it explains why Nintendo kept the same concept for the remake when they could have done so much more with it. So pretty much to make the long answer short, the reason why the game looks like that is because it's all in Link's head. During his dream, he dreams things in a more diorama style look. This would also explain why we see characters and enemies from the Super Mario series. None of this would have made sense in the Zelda canon, as these characters don't exist. Everything is just a dream, so the most bizarre things could happen. And to further connect the two, most enemies we see from the Mario universe in Link's Awakening are actually from a game known as Doki Doki Panic, which was later turned into Super Mario Bros. 2 here in the West. For those who don't know, Doki Doki Panic was a Japanese platformer for the NES that was reskinned to a Mario title as Super Mario Bros. 2 because the original Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan was considered too difficult for a Western audience. The original Mario Bros. 2 was later given to us as Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. But in the original Doki Doki Panic, the game inspired tons of original enemies that made it into the Mario series and are officially a part of it till today. And what connects these two games is the name of Doki Doki Panic, as the original title is known as Dream Factory Heart Pounding Panic. But this would explain why we see all these Mario characters within Link's Awakening, as they come from another game that is known to be a dream world. While this point isn't necessarily needed to explain the reason behind the art style, I think it's worth making the connection. And this is why when Link awakens at the end of Link's Awakening, the game goes back to the anime-like art style or a more detailed pixelated art style in the original games. As this is the Link we know him as. The cute toy-like version of himself was to represent his dream. And according to Nintendo in the official Legend of Zelda blog, their goal was to keep the original game's feel with its simplified art style. And the way of giving it a more modernized look was to have it as in you were looking into the world of a diorama, as the game is known to be on a dream island, and honestly I feel like they nailed it with that. While Link's Awakening's art style isn't my favorite within the series, it is to be appreciated especially for what the title represents. Especially when looking at the Japanese title, the game is known as The Legend of Zelda Dreaming Island, so the title spoils the game itself. But if you think about it, so does the US title, as it's called Link's Awakening, which the entire game is about waking up. So I hate to say it, but everything in Link's Awakening was only just a dream. It makes me feel bad for all the cool concepts the game brings to the series, but also makes sense with how bizarre the world is. I honestly feel bad, especially for the original characters like Marin, but I like to think of her as a seagull somewhere out there. That was her wish, at least. But what do you guys think? Does this change your perspective on the game's art style after knowing why it's like this? And do you like the art style or hate it? Please let me know your opinions in the comments below. Anyways, if you want more Link's Awakening content, I have so much more videos planned for my Let's Play that's currently going on, along with tons more after the LP. So stay on the lookout. Though as always, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. I've been Zelda Master, and I'll see you all in the next one.